Still a bit of glare here, but that's okay. It's not too bad. So we shall sit and wait for somebody to come before I start getting into conversations while nobody's here. Let me share this. Alrighty. I don't know why it's like this, but okay. So I am still under 5,000 words for NaNoWriMo. But I'm also doing research as I am writing my book. So my book is based around zodiac signs, or at least that plays a big part of my story. So I've been looking up things like, you know, the months that go with it, birthstones, birth flowers, the colors associated with those zodiacs, of course, playing around with the ideas of the elements that go with it. These play big parts in, you know, what the characters do, how they're named, etc. So, for instance, and sometimes stuff is a little bit repeated. Sometimes I'll have to make a decision on a name and how it fits for one character under one sign versus another. Because a lot of names that you look up that, are Aries or Sagittarius or Pisces inspired, can cover a few things. They can cover the likeness associated with that sign. Maybe something about fire or water or, archery. Stuff like that. And then there is the months. Well, no one month has just one zodiac sign. They have like at least two, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because they start at like maybe towards the end of one month into the beginning of another. So, like I said, some names can be repeated, and I have to figure out what name it fits better with. So, for instance, you have names like Artemis and Diana, which in a way can fit at least two or three. If you wanted to go the level, or, go the mythology route, right? So, like, I'm not an expert in, like, mythology and stuff. I enjoy it. I read about it, but I'm not, like, an expert, a scholar, whatever. And I know these things do vary. But, like I said, take Artemis and Diana. I know they have similarities. I think some of their stories are somewhat different. That does happen. They do have a lot of similarities because I do believe they are both, I believe they're both hunting goddesses, or goddesses of the hunt. And they're also both associated with the moon. I think other goddesses in Roman mythology might be more associated with the moon than Diana, but she is like a moon goddess or a lunar goddess. Because I know there's Luna, there's Selene, and I think that might be more associated with the moon, but I could be wrong. Artemis, goddess of hunt, associated with the moon. I know she's associated with childbirth. So there's a lot of things that could come up in that kind of thing, right? So there's hunting, there's archery, which could go with Sagittarius. There is a fact that moon affects tides and other things, which could go for water and water signs like Pisces or Cancer or Scorpio. Um, Artemis is a virgin goddess, which could be associated with a sign like Virgo, which is virgin. So yeah, it really just depends on what I'm feeling about those characters and the story I want to tell and how their sign affects them and everything like that. So yeah, I'm kind of figuring out names, especially ones that could go for different months, different signs, etc. I'm just trying to put it in the story where it just makes the most sense. Did you bring a leaf you found? So I'm also trying to world build as well. This is a leaf that my kid found on his walk. That's a big leaf.
No.
Jeez. Okay, why don't you go do your dishes and then maybe before it gets too late, take another walk, alright?
Okay. My water bottle right here.
Okay, go do that so you can get on another walk. Um, yeah, and the thing about world building and creating characters is you want to obviously avoid plagiarism, but there's nothing that's really new anymore, so you have to figure out a way how to take what already exists and make it your own. Because somebody on Facebook was asking about that, about having an idea from somebody else's idea, and people are like, oh, there's a reason that ideas can't be copyrighted. And so, it's finding ways to take things that already exist and making it your own story. Because, these authors were reading, they didn't create dragons, they didn't create wizards, or any of that stuff, but, their characters are their own, the world they build for those things are their own. They had to make it their own, otherwise they would have been, copying and plagiarizing someone else. So it's also sitting back and thinking, how can I make this my own? Like, what makes my story different? And you're going to have similarities to things, especially maybe things that are recent, because you're hearing about them all the time, right? And it's your decision whether you want to, and I don't think it's really a bad thing to sometimes get in on trends, right? Because they're popular, they gain more traction, to your stuff. It's not bad. Um, I wouldn't do it all the time. But maybe as a start, if you have an idea that maybe fits with something popular, maybe get it out there, get yourself going, get your name out there. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But just make stuff your own, right? I've only read one Twilight book. I do plan on finishing the series because while it wasn't my favorite thing, I just want to finish series that I've started. And yeah, someday I'll finish that. But I was listening to another YouTuber, and this video that they did was like a few years ago now, a little bit more than a few years ago. Hello. Um, but they were talking about, I think, City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. I've never read any of her stuff except for a story in Zombies versus Unicorns. And I enjoyed that story, but the things that I've heard about her is that she plagiarized greatly from things like Harry Potter and stuff, or it's very similar. Um, very, very similar. I have not read the stuff for myself to decide. I still gotta finish Harry Potter, but like I know a lot of the basics of Harry Potter from like movies and memes and references and all that other stuff. But other than the short story, I've not read anything of Cassandra Clare's to really judge for myself. So I'm going just based on, you know, the things that this one YouTuber had said, and their comment was, when talking about City of Bones, I think this was the same video, is that Twilight might suck, but at least it's its own shit. That literally was their words. Twilight might suck, but at least it's its own shit. Right? So, again, there's nothing wrong with writing what's within the trends, writing things that have been around for years and years, but make it your own, right? And whether or not it's good, that's subjective, because again, there are people who love Twilight. There are people who love Harry Potter, and then there's people who pick apart those series. There are people who pick it apart and still enjoy it. You can do that, right? But, you know, again, make it your own. And that's what I'm trying to do with my story. My story involves elemental magic and elemental miniature kingdoms. It's not like a high fantasy because they do live in like the normal world, but then there's like sections which are like kind of mini kingdoms in a way. But I'm not doing that whole you're this or that so we can't be together kind of thing. There are people from other like elements that are married into people, but it's, certain rules and stuff. So it's like I'm not rehashing all the basic tropes of like I'm the chosen one, or I'm in love with these two hot guys, but I'm not like other girls and that's why they like me. Um, you know, I'm not doing any of that stuff. And sometimes you can use tropes in your own way, as long as you don't overdo it. As long as how you're using the tropes makes sense, right? Because you've got to do it in a way where it doesn't feel like it, or you don't question, right? Um, it's one of the reasons why, even though it has its faults, because every book does, books are written by humans, we have flaws. We're going to miss things, we're going to get things wrong, but one of the reasons that I really enjoyed the Hunger Games series was that she wrote it in a way where anything that was a trope kind of made sense, right? And even though there were some things that I could do without in that series, there were still things that made sense in the story and I can get over. But, like, they really didn't play up the not like other girls thing. In a way, maybe she wasn't like some of the other ones, but there were reasons for that. It wasn't that she was like anti-girl or anti-feminine. It's because her life was usually based around survival. So a lot of the people, other girls that we come in contact with, are one, her sister, who was obviously a few years younger than her, and then the mayor's daughter, which should never have been cut out of those movies because I liked her character. But, she's the mayor's daughter. She obviously is a little bit more privileged. Um, but I like how Madge was written too because she's not snobby. They don't look down on each other. If they are friends despite their, differences. So any differences that she has is based upon how she has to survive, not the fact that, she looked down on women for liking feminine things, right? And she wasn't a chosen one either. She literally did something to save a family member. But certain things, even in that series, can be looked at as kind of tropey. But like I said, you can write it in a way where it makes sense, right? It would make sense that she wouldn't be into certain things because she just doesn't have time for it, right? And, when we get to, like, the interviews and stuff, you can see, that she's, in a way, enjoying some of the glamour in some ways. Not that she's truly losing herself, but she's never been allowed to dress pretty and just kind of have fun and be a little silly. Not that people were stopping her, but life didn't allow it, right? So that way of being a little bit more feminine, being a little bit more like other girls kind of makes sense, right? Um, the love triangle, in a way, like I said, I could do without, but, you have one person that is from, like, a different world in a sort of way, but still in her world, like a different type of life, who saved her in a way, and then you have a person that she's been friends with for like 5 years. Again, I could have done without the love triangle, but in a way that kind of made sense. So, given that as an example, there are ways to make tropes likable, to make them make sense. I'm trying to avoid some tropes because they've just been overdone at this point. And you hear about them over and over again. Now, there are some things that might be tropes, themes, whatever, that I like, and that I will be, putting into my novel. My novel is focused mainly on two sisters of books with siblings, especially sisters and everything. Yeah, love the Hunger Games. Love the Lunar Chronicles that had somewhat sibling stuff. Caraval I'm really liking. Three Dark Crowns I'm loving. Um, both of those two series I am on the third books for. As for reading, there are books that I've started and I'm not going to finish, mainly just because I can't find ebooks or audiobooks for them that are free. And it's a little hard to read some of this print. So, I'm going to read a little bit more of Meddling Kids. I'm liking how it's opening and stuff. But I haven't gone back to read too much of it just because I've been too tired. And at least my hoopla and living, because it is based on your library and stuff. Because I noticed from different places when I changed my library card, not all the same things are there. So yeah, it's based upon your library and stuff. They don't have even an ebook for me to read, so I'm gonna read a little bit more. And if I like it, I might just check it out again. But I might just eventually buy the audio, like on Google Books, because it's cheaper than Nook. And, once I get a feel of a book, I have a feeling that I'll like it for the most part enough to own it. whether or not like I like it all the way through, I'll still you know, I'll still enjoy it a little bit. So we shall see. I have started the third book in the Eternal edition of Sailor Moon. So we're at the beginning where we meet Chibiusa, or Rini as she is called in the American anime, or the American dubbed anime. I really liked Sailor Moon when I was younger, and I'm kind of getting back into it. But to be honest, while I have not read a great abundance, if that's even not like a repeat of something, um, yeah, I've not read like a lot. But from what I have read of other manga, even just the first few books and everything, as much as I did love Sailor Moon when I was younger, and I still enjoy it, it's fun, um, it's girly, it's colorful. After reading everything, I have a feeling, after I read more manga and everything from what I've already read, I have a feeling that it's not going to be my favorite manga, maybe not even my favorite anime. Um, just because some things are a little over the top, and I don't know. But again, I'm reading American, like, English translations and stuff, and maybe some of the wording's a little bit better in, the original Japanese and everything. But some things are just, you couldn't give them a name. Like, it's always the enemy. Like, they do have names technically, but a lot of times they refer to them as, this is a new enemy. Could it be the enemy? And it's like enemy was supposed to be like just a filler word, like a placement, until they found a name for this enemy, and they just never went back and edited it out. That's what it kind of feels like. Um, Reading Sailor Moon sometimes. And again, it's nostalgic and I still love it, but I just don't think it'll be a favorite. Like, years ago, I would have said, yeah, Sailor Moon's like my favorite, because like the only animes I really knew about was like that and Pokemon. That's the only ones that I like really watched, and I'm so behind on other ones too. But I've read a little bit more now, and I've watched a little bit more now, even though I'm so behind. And it's like Sailor Moon's okay, it's good. I just don't think it's gonna be like my absolute favorite by the time I'm done checking out everything. But there's a lot that I gotta finish that I've started. I got to finish Fairy Tale. I got to finish Chibi Vampire. I gotta get back to reading because I was at Vampire Night. I think the one about like the school that's like split between humans and vampires. Like there's like a secret night class or whatever. Um, I was like reading the first volume of that. I gotta go back. There's just so many that I want to read. Um, I read the first two in Bleach, which that one was interesting. I want to read Full Metal Alchemist. Uh, I want to continue with Inuyasha. I really liked Inuyasha, the anime, and I think they've added more to it or whatever. Like, I don't think I watched all of it, but the first manga was really good. The first episode pretty much goes with the first book, and that was adapted really well. So, if anything, I think Inuyasha is definitely going to be in a top 5 for manga and anime. But I don't know. I've also heard some continuations that just don't make sense, or it's just like why, and I don't know if that was like the original authors writing or if that's just something they did for like a manga, not a manga, but like an anime continuation or spin-off or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, I definitely want to, yeah. Full Metal Alchemist. I want to read Fruits Baskets. I also would like to read My Brother's Husband. That one I heard is really good and pretty sad. Um, there's also some other like anime movies that I still need to see. Um, I've seen glimpses of these and like some scenes, but I've never watched the whole movies. So I need to watch My Neighbor Totoro. I think that's how you say it. It looks really cute. I heard it's kind of slow, but it looks cute. I have not watched that one. I gotta watch Spirited Away and House Moving Castle. I'm pretty sure the last one I heard was actually a book. I might check that out. Princess Mononoke. I gotta watch that one. Ponyo, I gotta watch that one. I heard that one was really cute. So yeah, there's a lot of like manga and anime that I have to catch up with, both movies and TV shows that I just haven't got around to. And I have a feeling that once I watch some of these, I'm gonna be in Hot Topic and everything, get me some collectibles and pins and everything, because if it looks cute without me watching it, I bet when I watch it, I'm gonna like it. And yeah, there are some things that you can just feel that you might just like fangirl over, or fanboy, or whatever you are. A fan person, but don't be a complete fanatic. Don't go crazy. Um, yeah, there's just so many things that I'm getting back into, I'm getting into, and I just feel like there's not enough time in the day for any of that, right? So, I finally caught up on Bob's Burgers. Like, there's a new episode coming out, but I finally finished most of 14 seasons now. I hadn't watched Bob's Burgers for a little while. A lot of times because I didn't have Hulu and stuff. But I kind of went on a Bob's Burger binge while I was doing my nano story. Um, yeah, and then I finally finished it. I took a break in between because I watched the new Simpsons Halloween special, and I watched the new episodes of Family Guy. They were so. Um, I was kind of enjoying Bob's Burgers a little bit more. I really loved the old seasons of like Family Guy and The Simpsons. But the newer stuff isn't too bad. Um, but yeah, um, the last few seasons of Bob's Burgers were pretty fun. I just started The Great North, which apparently is made by, I think, two writers or animators or something like that from Bob's Burgers. So yeah, sort of the same feel. I don't think that I'll like it as much as that show because while it's been entertaining so far, it's not capturing my attention as much as that show, as Bob's Burgers. Um, the family just doesn't have the same type of well, you don't want them to have exactly the same type of personalities, but the personalities in the Great North doesn't seem to stick out as much or right away as the personality of the characters in Bob's Burgers, right? Because um, take Moon versus like Luis. I can't really tell you too much about his personality versus Luis's because like it was pretty much right there in like the first episode of Bob's Burgers. There was like a lot going on, and you really got to know the characters' personalities. Whereas this one, it seemed like a nice show, and it seems like something that I would watch, but more of like a background kind of thing versus I'm like a fan and I love this show kind of thing. But who knows? I'm only on like I think episode 4 in like the first season. So they might get better. I might really like the show. I don't know. I have to finish American Horror Story because I'm still on Freak Show. Um, I also need to go back and finish watching, which I have like 6 seasons now, or like 5, of Once Upon a Time. I heard that one gets kind of bad at the end, but again, I started a show, I want to finish it. Whew. It's a little harder to watch some of those because they're like hour-long episodes. So like if there's like 10 episodes, it's like the season is like 10 hours. So it takes me a little bit longer than like Family Guy or The Simpsons, which are like without commercials less than 30 minutes, right? But I am enjoying what I'm watching. And I'm glad that I'm getting to do other things like, you know, watch movies, watch shows. I took Nate, my son, to see Five Nights at Freddy's, or as he calls it and other people call it, FNAF. I didn't really know all that much about Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, I know he played it on his Switch, and he's watched videos about it. I know there's books about it, and he's mentioned it before. But some of the things were a little bit different in the movie versus what he's talked about. And eventually I'll do a review on that, but understand it's going to be a review of somebody who kind of went in blind in some ways. Like, I've never played the games or anything, and I only know the basic lore from what my kid has told me. But the game does seem kind of interesting. I might check that out one day. I want to get into maybe playing more games and stuff. So if you guys have any recommendations, I eventually want, because we don't have ours anymore. Nate doesn't have his Switch Lite anymore. He hasn't had it for a while now. But I was thinking about eventually, not now, but like in the future, getting another Switch and maybe getting the one that like you can hook up to your TV. Just getting that for us. So if you guys know any like good games, which obviously would be for a Nintendo Switch, um, yeah, let me know, cause I think I want to explore some like game playing and everything. I think I might be interested. I'm always gonna be interested in fun games like Mario and stuff, but maybe I want to play something a little bit more fantasy like, and maybe a little bit of like horror. So let me know your recommendations because I don't know everything that they have on Nintendo Switch. I know they got some things. I know they got Five Nights at Freddy's on there. And I know they have Mario and Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, which those things I love. But yeah, if you have any like recommendations, I would definitely love to hear them. Whew. So that's pretty much what is going on with me right now. That is what I am watching, what I have watched, um, what I'm writing, what I'm reading. For games, I have a couple games on my phone. I have like just a basic Sonic one, and then I have um, Campsite, Animal Crossing. Maybe I'll get Animal Crossing when I get a Switch. That seems like fun. Um, and then I have like this Boba Cat. I think the Boba Cat Cafe one. I've just downloaded it, so I'm gonna see how that goes. So I guess I shall end this live here. Hopefully after this somebody will watch this. So, but anyways, yeah, tell me what you were watching, reading, listening to, playing. I eventually, hopefully sooner than later, will be getting to my like music ranking of like the artists that I had put up on the poll on my community tab. So the first one will be Lord, which she's only got like 3 albums out, um, unless I include like the Love Club EP thing. Um, but yeah, hers won't take very long. So hopefully, I'll be getting more music related videos up. Maybe a little bit more gameplay videos. Of course, there'll be wrap ups and stuff. But anyways, um, yeah. See you guys later. Bye bye.